I grew up in a church-going family. We were Roman Catholic. Faith was very strong, especially with my grandmother, but it was more about tradition than it was on a personal relationship. So like many children in my generation, we went to church every Sunday, went to Mass every Sunday. And that led to me following a Christian faith. That led to me actually, at one point in my time, in my late teens, early 20s, considering to become a priest.
We were a church family, but we were a Sunday church family. Prayer at the dinner table wasn't a normal. My prayer life growing up was internal. I knew that God wanted to hear from me, but I didn't think He wanted to hear from me out loud. I got married and left home. That marriage did not work out, and that's really when prayer became important to me. I was a single mother. I had a small child that I knew I was responsible for and could not do it on my own. So prayer, again, more internal than outward, but I prayed daily that I would be the mother that He would need. I realized in those dark moments that when it was just me, that I needed God and God wanted to hear from me, and that whether my prayer was outward or inward, He heard me.
I lived in Washington, D.C. for a while, and I traveled with my job, and I came back to Missouri, and Vonnie and I actually met after I'd come back to Missouri. And so when I got married, my desire to be a father and to have a family was where I felt God led me to, and He has led me to that. When we first got married, I was used to praying. I was used to praying for the blessing of the foods. I was used to praying at different times, and I would actually ask Vonnie to pray, and she would actually just say no. She goes, I pray internally, but over the years, her prayer has taken a whole different level. And now she not only prays, but she freely offers prayer, for people, not only within our group or within the people we meet, but even to pray for people that we happen to come across. We first moved to Arkansas in 2001. We spent about 4 or 5 years at another church in Rogers, and there was just seemed like an emptiness that wasn't being fed. And so we looked at each other and we said, it's not necessarily working.
We really wanted to belong. And so we went through discovery. Through discovery, we met other people and everything. And we actually had joined a group, but they didn't live in Rogers, so they were driving in, the community leader. They had asked Harlan if he thought he would want to take over and lead the group, and we kind of said, well, we don't know what that looks like, but we'll try. And from there, we've just kind of grown. Community is like our weekend party. We have a meal and we fellowship and we talk to each other about our lives, and then we come together and we have our lesson. At the end of our community group, we're still standing around visiting and talking. Well,
we live life together. That's the first thing. And it's also praying together as a community group, because that's been so important to us, as how prayer has led our community group, both as we grow and as we kind of go on our own ways, and then as we come back together again.
Through our community group, we had been very active for 3 or 4 years when we found out that Harlan had cancer, thyroid cancer. They were there for us 100% of the time. From the moment that we found out, I sent out text message to all of the women of our community group. We needed prayer. That my fear factor was out of the room. It was just so big that we needed prayer. And every one of the women of our group responded. Through that, at group, we started every community group meeting in prayer before we had meals. And then we ended every one of them in prayer. And it was a comfort, even though I was scared.
So the night before my surgery, we're in Little Rock because I have to have the surgery at UAMS. We went to Walmart to kind of get some of the little things that I would need while I was in the hospital and such, and in our community group calls, we're on speaker and the entire group, one by one, prays for us. And when it's over, I look around and I raise my head, and there were 2 Walmart associates bowing in prayer with us. I felt the power of prayer, and I felt lifted up by many men and women in Northwest Arkansas, our community group, our men's group in our church and such. And so I knew during that time that I was not walking alone. And I knew during that time that there were people praying for me, and I could literally sense and feel the benefit of that prayer, not only spiritually, but within my health. It helps knowing that you have a praying wife or a praying spouse, because even during times that I didn't want prayer, I knew she was praying for me. It actually eases that decision or eases that pain, but at the same time, when we don't know where to turn, we turn to the Lord in prayer.